So in this video we're focusing on some Swiss ball mobility and stretches. To begin with, just safely roll down the Swiss ball, hands together, head resting on the ball, and you're going to extend slowly over the ball. This is moving into our upper abdominal stretch. In this position we're aiming to hold it for about 30 seconds, particularly if you're doing it before exercise, or if you have some hypermobility, you're moving slightly into the stretch, contracting your abdominals before moving into the stretch a little bit further. It's a great one for opening up through those upper abs. You want to make sure you feel supported on the ball through both your lower back and your neck. And if you're a bit limited through this movement, start a little bit lower on the ball or use a larger ball and progress over time. Next we're moving into our side ab stretch. So you get the femur against the side of the ball, you roll over the ball and support yourself using your bottom arm and your front foot. We're then lengthening out from our top leg all the way to our top arm, breathing into the side of our body and just holding that position again for about 30 seconds. You can slightly roll forwards or roll back, and that will slightly shift what's getting stretched. So when you roll backwards, it's a bit more of the abdominals. When you roll forwards, it's a little bit more of your lower back or your QL. Just see how your body feels as you work through this. And again, holding for roughly 30 seconds, particularly before exercise. You can go a bit longer if you're doing it at night time. We then flip over and work through the other side. An important thing to note here is just to not be forcing anything, so work with your body on the given day. Try to think about nasal breathing and tongue is resting on the roof of your mouth. You also might find that one side is tighter than the other, particularly if you identified this in your assessment. So in this case you can pause the video and do another set on that tighter side. So if one hip's hiking up or you're quite tight through the QL on one side, then generally we want to start on that side and finish on that side to inhibit those tighter muscles slightly before doing a corrective exercise. We're now going to move into the pec and lat stretch. So for the pec stretch, you want to get the head of your humerus or your shoulder on the ball, elbow back and neutral spine. From here I can sink down to the pec stretch and then softly contract by pushing into the ball with my hand and elbow, holding for about 5 seconds before then sinking a little bit further into the stretch. I'll aim to do this at least 3 to 5 times. This contract relax method is really efficient at opening through that pec. I can then straighten my arm out to the side. That's going to hit a bit more of the pec major. So depending on the individual and depending on what I prescribe to you, you might be having to focus on more of the pec minor or pec major. With the arm straight out in front now, we can hit our lats, which can get very tight from sitting at desks and working at desks. Same concept, find that point of stretch, contract by pushing into the ball, relax into it slightly further, not pushing into any significant pain or discomfort here. I'm focusing on nasal breathing, tongue on the roof of our mouth, and a neutral spine. From here we can flip over, move to the other side, and then repeat the process. Again, wanting to do that contract relax method generally, particularly if we're doing it before exercise. Aiming for 3 to 5 reps per position. If you're a bit tighter on one side again, you may go back and repeat that tighter side. Often our dominant hand can be a little bit tighter than our non-dominant side, particularly in the pecs and lats. Some other key components here is just to make sure that your chin is staying slightly tucked so that your head is staying aligned with the rest of your spine as you are working through this, through these mobilisations. With our lat stretch as well, we're just finding a nice moderate stretch here. Again, not forcing too heavily, finding that point of stretch, contracting into the ball, then relaxing a little bit deeper. Next we're moving into the hip flexor stretch. So you want to kneel down first and then place your foot against the ball. Other leg comes up to a 90-degree angle, and we're going to tuck our tailbone under. So we're connecting our hips and ribs, squeezing our glute on the kneeling leg, and then we can slightly drive our hips forwards and reach up to the ceiling to add a bit more of a myofascial stretch here. Again, the contract relax technique is going to be great before exercise. If you're quite limited through the stretch, then it's a great one to do at night, where you can hold it for a good minute, all the way up to like 5 minutes. So we're just trying to create a bit of creep through that fascia and connective tissue when we're doing those long duration holds, but we generally don't want to do them before exercise, as they can be inhibitory on the system, which will then reduce motor output and can increase our risk of injury. Flip over, and we can do the same on the other side, tucking that tailbone, squeezing that glute. You can softly push into the ball as well and get a little contraction of the quads as you do that, and then slightly relax into it. And again, 3 to 5 reps is generally a good time frame, a good set amount to help open up that tissue, so that when we get into our corrective exercise, we can activate the corresponding muscles a little bit easier, like our glutes or hamstrings. From here, we're moving into a seated adductor stretch. This is quite short on this video, but essentially you can use the ball to help mobilize through the adductors by doing side-to-side twists or forward leans, and it's a great one to do when working on the Swiss ball at an office desk or breaking up sitting time. So now we're moving into a bit of postural stability work on the Swiss ball, primarily focusing on our thoracic mobility and posterior chain endurance. With this exercise, I'm leading with my eyes, so as I flex down, I look down. As I look up, I extend up, and I'm going nice and slow, avoiding any catching or clicking in the neck here. So just work within the range that you feel comfortable. As you get used to it, you can progress slightly by placing your hands softly on the Swiss ball. I'm also coupling this with breathing, so as I come up, I'm inhaling, and as I lower down, I'm exhaling. So this complements that stretching and is a great one to break up sitting time, to just allow our spine to get some pumping, hydration, and to wake up a lot of the spinal extensors and our rectus spinae muscles, as well as some of our deep muscles of the lower back and mid-back, such as the multifidus. Generally for this endurance work, we're looking at a minimum of a minute, and you can build up to 3 minutes. The alternating opposite arm and leg lift is another brilliant one for building on your stabilization system. So you could do this separately or couple it with the flexion extension. All I'm doing here is raising opposite arm and leg up, while keeping my lower abs slightly drawn in and my lower back in a neutral position. The key is to not shift too much at all on the Swiss ball, and generally you'll find one side is harder than the other. If you find that, I want you to spend a little bit more time holding that side, bring a little bit of more conscious awareness into when you're moving through that side. And over time, by practicing this for a couple of minutes, ideally 3 times a week, we will start to build that symmetry back into the system and get some activation happening in those sling systems that might be a little bit less dominant compared to the other side. I'm keeping my tongue on the roof of my mouth throughout this. I'm going soft on my hands, and I'm maintaining a slight little chin tuck, so nice long spine, as well as keeping my lower abdominal muscles slightly drawn in off the Swiss ball. If you're following along with this video, you can continue going for roughly another 30 seconds, which will take us to the 2-minute mark. If you found that quite difficult, you can break it up into 1-minute sets with 30-second rest. Ideally, for all of these endurance-based and posture-based exercises, we want to build up to being able to do them for a good 3 to 4 minutes straight, with controlled breathing, some slight activation of our lower abdominal muscles, tongue on the roof of our mouth, and nice controlled movement. We're now going to flow into another great movement on the Swiss ball, which is just working through some I's, T's, and A's. So here you can see me doing an I, or more of a Y really. I'm keeping, again, that little bit of glute engagement, lower abdominal engagement, and I'm just playing around with the angle of my arms, because this will help to activate different tissue in the back muscles. So my rhomboid's getting more activated now compared to my lower traps before. And it's a great one because we can get the arms moving through a bit more range of motion compared to on the floor. It's also a nice, more accessible way to build on that thoracic extension and build on the endurance of the posterior chain, all of those thoracic extensors, the lower back muscles, the deep core muscles, a bit of our glutes and hamstrings. We can progress this by placing our feet against a wall and slightly bringing them up off the floor, which will kick in your hamstrings a lot more and make this a bit more of a challenging exercise. You'll see here that I'm just working through different ranges of motion whilst holding this extended position. Again, we're wanting to build up to roughly 3 minutes at a time. So if you're doing all of these exercises back to back, or you're playing with some variations, then it's okay to do each of them for 1 to 2 minutes, working to that total amount of 3 to 5 minutes. Our final exercise is the Swiss ball side hold. So I've set up with the femur and side thigh against the ball, top leg straight, supported by the wall, and bottom leg out in front to help me stabilize. I'm keeping a nice straight line from my leg to my shoulders, keeping my chest a little bit elevated, lower tummy slightly drawn in, keeping a slight pinch between my shoulder blades, so I'm trying not to round too much forwards or too much through my thoracic spine. This variation is great to hold for up to 2 minutes at a time. I'm just doing it for 30 seconds in this video. Next, we can move into side crunches. This one we can work through a few different variations. So we're starting with level 1, keeping it arms crossed and no weight. And when doing this, we can work anywhere between that 12 to 20 rep range. An additional variation here is to straighten out the top arm. So this just makes our lever arm a bit longer, and it's a great way to progress the exercise as we're wanting to build a bit more strength. If I wanted to, I could hold a light weight here as well, which again would just add that additional bit of intensity and a bit more strength required. You can also move in a bit more of a flowy based movement pattern. And we again are just working on getting that nice full range and contraction. Final variation is going both arms out straight. So longest lever arm, making this the most difficult, and a really great workout for your obliques and side abs. Again, if we wanted to make this more challenging, we could hold a medicine ball or some free weights in both hands. Hope you enjoyed this workout and these Swiss ball exercises.